and so you graduate from high school and you go to the Parsons School of Design. So that's 4 years. While at Parsons, you meet some great people, you learn a lot. Who were some of the people in your class at Parsons?
You know, it's interesting how times have changed because, you know, Parsons actually always had a really great reputation as a design school, and particularly in the fashion department. It's very, very strong, sort of very coveted. You know, we started out 75 people in our class, and, you know, we graduated about 45. It was tough going, but, you know, really my year produced quite a few really notable people. I mean, Mark graduated with me in my class, Mark Jacobs, Tracy Reese, I don't know if you're familiar with that, a couple of other people. So, you know, it's sort of interesting to think about it. Apparently, the 1984 was a good year.
It's a pretty powerful class. And if there was sort of...
But, you know, us sitting around in the third floor lounge smoking cigarettes during lunch and talking about London, I mean, that's my memory of Mark, you know, so. And I didn't have all my hair on my head, and, you know, this was the 80s, you know, we were all punky.
She was complete punk. I was sort of, you know, looking to get that. Apparently she has gone and censored the internet, and those are no longer available, but we don't want to embarrass her. But she said, yeah, my hair was like straight up. And
there was no internet. Yeah, no, we were talking about culture and texture, and it was really fun days to be in New York, and, you know, a lot of things were going on culturally, art, music. I mean, you know, you went to school and you studied a lot, and you obviously, there's studio classes, so you spend a lot of time doing that. And, you know, but then, you know, instead of sleeping, of course, you want to do other things, and the opportunities were amazing to do it because, you know, you watch them on TV shows that try to reproduce the 80s, but the truth of the matter was it's really not, because it was a lot more gritty, a lot more raw, and the music was a lot more exciting than what you think is 80s music is now. It's really funny. But, you know, I'm introducing, you know, my daughters to certain music, which is really interesting, just to the fact that nobody was listening to that then, but people are listening to it now, and that's really cool.
What a great experience. First job out of Parsons, what are you doing?
So I finished, I'm a design assistant in a company that does sort of sportswear and suits and coats. You know, it's kind of it's an interesting thing. I mean, for me, speaking back to what we started, because I knew what I wanted to do, so I actually was doing it. And I know that there's a few sort of lucky people that get to do it. And I am still very grateful for the fact that I actually knew. And I can't complain about that I didn't get a chance to do it. So, I mean, yes, it's tough and whatever. And, you know, the sample makers and the pattern makers, the Italians and the Spanish and the Germans are really rough, and they think you're, you know, just a young person out of whatever, but, you know, it takes some time and you prove to them that you know what you're doing, or you learn from them. But it was a great experience, and I worked for sort of a couple of different jobs, you know, from sort of the upscale expensive clothes where, you know, when you sell something that's successful, you know, you cut about 250 jackets, you know. And then I got a job at Kellwood, which is a large Fortune 500 company that did private label products for, you know, like JCPenney's and Sears and, you know, J. Crew and Gap. So all of a sudden, you know, if you do something that's really strong, you know, you got 150,000. So I used to, you know, come home to Boston and say, you know, I dress America. But the thing is that, you know, it's sort of, I don't think that at the time I thought that I would be doing anything else, because I thought I would just move sort of with fashion and work for different things in different product. But, you know, this is sort of an example of like life interferes. There was an opportunity that came up, and I think I was in New York for 10 years, and, you know, I maybe started thinking about I wanted to go somewhere else. And I saw a job advertised to do a design line for a licensed line that was actually in Boston. And it's kind of funny because you don't go back, but in a way I sort of felt like I could try, and I decided to take the job, and I did. So I actually moved to Boston. One of the healthier parts of it was also that, you know, obviously there was definitely an improvement in apartments, because I've gone through many rat-infested places and mice-infested places, and my apartments look like bathrooms in other people's homes now, but that doesn't matter. The point is, it was sort of an improvement in that respect, but it also put a lot of pressure on the things, because I had to get a driver's license to drive, because I didn't drive before. And I thought that I could, you know, as New Yorkers get really jaded because you take your subway and you never have to think about anything else, but, you know, then you move to another city and you find out that your job is actually 25 miles away. So damn, you need to have a car. But the other thing what happened is we have sort of, during this course when I moved back to Boston, I met Lev, although we've met before, 7 years before. We didn't like each other, but we sort of were aware of each other. And 7 years later we met, we liked each other, we became friends, sort of moved in together very fast, got married. The reason I'm saying that is because all of this sort of happened within a year, because when I think we sort of became friends and started hanging out, I remember sitting in this bar in South End, which is an area, sort of a village-like area in Boston, and he pointed to the corner space. There was a furniture store there at the time, and he talked to me about sort of, he had this dream about opening a beauty store, like a beauty market. I mean, that was the words at the time. Something that would just have abundance of things, and and you have to understand this was a very unique man, because I have never met anybody that loved beauty products that much. I mean, the first time I've actually stayed at his house, and I was in the bathroom getting ready to leave, I looked under the sink looking for whatever I was looking for. I mean, the girls know what that means, and I screamed because I saw these little shopping bags filled with product. I mean, some of it wasn't even open, I mean, we're talking obsessed. He also had, he had a great capability of recognizing fragrance. I mean, I think I remember he gave me a scent in the first few weeks of our relationship, and I thought it was sort of the best scent I ever got, better than I would have even choose myself. I mean, it's just the understanding of what person's sort of character is and how it ties to the type of scent that you wear. I mean, it's a talent, somebody that doesn't know. But, the idea of that sounded really amazing, but we sort of talk about it, but nothing really, I mean, he had his own business. He's actually had this huge commercial cleaning company that he started by a year and a half before that by washing windows. And it's really only because he was trying to find what to do. And he was sort of in between projects, and he just sort of, went down the street and just walked into some store, had a bucket, said, can I wash your windows for $5? And that's how he started the business. At the time when I met him a year and a half later, I mean, it was like they were doing about $1.5 million revenues. And that's not something that was his passion or his interest or whatever, but it was just a way to get there, to move forward, to do something. That's truly an entrepreneurial spirit, because he's not afraid.